Hi, this is Future Dave, just saying sorry for the delay in getting the video out on the Vitesse with part one. It's going to be a two-part, I think. We got really busy with work. Land Rover tub builds that we do. We've been manufacturing all the parts for manufacturing these tubs since about 2016, and it's just gone potty, which, you know, it's great, but it's just me, so we're a bit busy. And then the ramp failed with the Vitesse in the air while I was doing a pinion seal, so I had to wait until I get some help, and I got my loader under it, and we gradually brought it down with my loader taking the weight, just in case I didn't want a ramp to collapse with the car on it. We do have two ramps, and it's the lesser capacity one is conked out, so that will go for scrap. But it is now down on the ground, and we can get it over on this ramp when this tub is finished to then get on with the rest of it. So yeah, hopefully normal service will resume next month. It's just been absolutely crackers. So yeah, back to the video. Hi, welcome back. This is my 1968 Triumph Vitesse Mark 1 convertible factory overdrive, 2 litre. A lot of the Mark 1s were 1600. This is a 2 litre. We've had it about 8 years, but we pulled it off the road. Runs and drives. I drove it here a couple of years ago. It's got the wrong wheels on. I'll get you in and show you all around it. Basically, we bought it from an intermediary. A gentleman did a home resto on this probably 25 years ago now, I'm guessing. Used it. I've got loads of photographs, loads of paperwork, spent a fortune on it. Then he either got sick and then died, but it was then pushed into a garage and didn't turn a wheel for 10 years. Then I got it through an intermediary, and I went through it and did all the brakes. Anything that was rubber was perished. I put a Mark II fuel tank in it because it's bigger. It's got what else I did? I did an alternator conversion, electronic ignition conversion, and I used a plastic moulded gearbox tunnel rather than the sort of wooden hardboard thing that come from the factory because it's falling apart. The gent, when he restored this, it had a new radiator, new water pump, full stainless steel exhaust system, and the gearbox, this is an overdrive car, I got the receipt for it, was sent away and rebuilt, and even I think it's 25 years ago, it was like 1,500 quid. And it's never done any real mileage. The speedo says 33,000 odd, so that's probably 133,000, 1968. As I say, I did all the brakes, new wheel cylinders, rebuilt the calipers, new brake master, new brake pipes, stainless steel flexies, new clutch hydraulics. It had a new clutch in it when they did the gearbox as well. And we drove it for probably 2 or 3 years in the summertime. I had a lot of fun with it. It's great fun. It makes a great noise with that stainless steel exhaust. It's about 100-ish horsepower, depending on what you read. Some say 103, say some 96. I don't know. It's 100 horsepower, give or take. We have a few electrical gremlins, dodgy connections, the old bullet connectors. I'll get you in. I'll get the hat up and get you under here. This has got twin Mark 1 Strongberg 150s. I'm not a lover of Strongberg carburetors. And I have a set of SUs and the SU manifold for it, and I would like to change it over. One of them, I had to put a Mark II float in because I couldn't get a Mark I float, and kind of fudged it, and it works, but it's not quite right. So I want to rectify that. And basically the reason I took it off the road, it's probably been 5 years, though I drove it 2 years ago from where we had it stored to here. It's always been undercover. It's got wire wheels on it. This never had wire wheels. With the adapter, with knock-ons, this would have had tin wheels with a poverty cap, you know, hubcap trim finisher. We don't have those wheels, so we're going to get a set of 5 mini lights. I put new tyres on it when we got it, and they're still perfectly okay. So we'll knock them off and put them on mini lights, or mini light style, should we say. I'm not sure they're real mini lights. I think they're 375 quid for 5. So I want to do that to get rid of these adapters, and I'll show you what I mean, the problem is. And also the driver's side rear drive shaft, the hub is held on the drive shaft. It's a locking table with a key. This one, you can swing on the nut on the end of it with a 9-foot pole and do it up as tight as you like. It moves. The taper's damaged. It's obviously come loose. Whether the hub adapter came loose for these wheels and shook it all loose, I don't know. But I have a set of drive shafts for it that I'm going to overhaul and put in. So new wheel bearing. I'm probably going to do the front wheel bearings while I'm in here, because I don't know the state of them. No, they're not noisy, there's no play in them. but I'll get this hat up, I'll get you under here, and you can see there's a few wiring issues we need to address, shall we say. But let's get rejigged, and we'll go from there. Right, there's the alternator, you can just see it there, I did an alternator conversion. So the gent who did the Homer resto, he cut the wiring loop, obviously, to get the bonnet off, and then rejoined it with a whole bundle of chocolate blocks. Which isn't a great idea because they're going to corrode and cause problems, but also the bullet connectors up in the front here where the headlights are, which are steel beam units, and I want to change those to quartz halogen, so when the bulbs go you don't have to change the whole unit, it's just a bulb. The bullet connectors getting corroded, what do you expect? So that is one of the things I've got to address. Now on this side you can see one of the carbs, the other one's over there. We've got the Confessions of a Plumber's Mate here with 15mm copper glued in the end of the aluminium with the old Aerodelight. Quite a common issue on these. It corrodes, especially if you don't run antifreeze, and falls off. So that was a Homer repair. So I do have a set of SUs and the correct manifold to replace in here as well. Right, this should not do that. That's not the drive shaft turning, that's the hub turning on the drive shaft. That ain't meant to do that. That's one of the main reasons I took it off the road. I do have a full poly bush kit for this as well that I bought years ago, whole car. But I'll get it up in the air and we'll get underneath the camera and you can have a look and just see how solid this whole thing is. Right, I don't know how well this is going to pick up under torch. I'm going to try and hold everything myself, but I think we've got a rear pinion oil seal leaking, or sorry, front pinion oil seal leaking on a diff. No big deal, I'm going to be in here so I'm going to do it, but the chassis, how well this is picking this up, is very good. It's very, very good order. Now we have an oil leak, I know of. I'll bring you in here. As gearbox. It leaks oil out of the oil filter housing, which is up under there. When this engine's running, even when it's hot, it has 80 to 90 psi of oil pressure, and at idle it's about 60, and it drips oil out of the rubber seal on the oil filter canister. Even with a new seal, I have a suspicion the oil pressure release valve is stuck, or it's got an over enthusiastic spring, so that is something we're going to have to do. But the floor pans, you know, the chassis in general is very, very good. The seals are for decoration on these things, they don't do anything structural. Engine mounts are going, so I need to put 2 new engine mounts, and I would imagine up there our gearbox mount is probably needing replacing as well. Well, that looks like an interesting job to do. Exhaust is probably going to have to come out, but that's a full stainless exhaust system with one almost cherry bomb in the middle and no back box, so it makes a glorious noise when it's running. But it's in such good order that, you know, I've had it 8 years. I reckon it was originally Homer restored 25 years ago, and other than a dodgy paint job, it's pretty good. It's pretty good, but I'll get the car down and show you the inside as well. Right, dash is in fairly good order. All the gauges worked. Door cards aren't bad. Sorry about the lighting in here. Now the front seats, I think these are out of 2-seater Ford Focus. I modified the seats to fit the car, not the other way around. I have the original seats. These are a bit big. They are nice and comfortable, but obviously we needed ones that flip forward to get in the back. But I'm going to try and get some MX5 seats to put in here because they'll be slightly smaller. You know, probably look a bit better in here. I know a lot of people do put MX5 seats in a lot of old Triumphs. Even the door cappings are in pretty good order. Yeah, a few of these clips need replacing, but considering it's not had loads and loads of love, it's in pretty good order, and I have a lot of affection for these old cars. I really do enjoy driving it. My uncle had one. He had a Mark II on a J plate when we were kids, and we hooned around in that with him, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And hence, when this one came up all those years ago for not a lot of money, we bought it. But it's still not worth a lot of money, and you'll spend far more on the bodywork take out, do all the oily bits, and then just the bodywork alone to make it beautiful will be more than the car's worth by many, many, many times. It's not worth it, in my opinion. It should be driven and enjoyed, and when it gets to a point where it really is looking skanky, do something about it then. It's perfectly acceptable. The only bit of bodywork that is a bit iffy, if I bring you out here, the bottom of that door, passenger side door, is starting to go, and there's a questionable repair right on the bottom of the wing. I don't know if I can get it from here without going also, but it on the there, it's starting to go, but that's it. It wants a good clean, don't get me wrong, and it will look a hell of a lot better for a good clean. There's some decent wheels on it, so I'll get rejigged again and we'll start looking into some of these problems. Right, you don't know if this is going to pick up all right, but you cannot get a socket in here to do these up. You can only use an open-ended spanner, and I jammed this by putting a pair of Stilsons on the knobbly bit at the back and jammed it up against the brake caliper, because you can only do these up with an open-ended ring spanner. There just isn't any clearance, hence they come loose. Certainly on this version I really don't like them at all, but we're going to get these all off and then we're going to strip these front hubs down. There you go. Right, first things first, need to get the caliper out of the way and hang it up with a bungee or a handy bit of string so you don't damage the flexible. Now, let's see if we can get these undone. Holy moly, I did those up tight. Also, when I was going through my what parts did I buy box for it, I've even got a set of wheel studs for it, but we don't need them. All the studs are okay. Will you get on there? Man, I did that up. When I rebuilt these calipers, I split them and put new seals in the middle, as well as obviously piston seals, and I put stainless steel pistons in, as well as all new rubber boots and dust seals and everything when I did them 8 years ago. And I say they've only done a couple of thousand miles, so they should be absolutely fine. Yeah. Right. We get a bit of string. Don't want all the weight. It's heavy old caliper. I don't want all the weight on that flexi, because it's probably going to be here a few days while I sort this out, because I'm fitting this in around whatever else I've got going on. So I'll be coming back to this off and on. You won't notice that, it'll be one video, but hence I thought, right, this afternoon let's make a start. We're not going to mess about with it, we're putting new bearings in and done with it. Come on, you're going to come out. And these are roller taper bearings. What size is that? I do not remember. It's that size. Yeah, so it shouldn't be tight anyway. It's got a bit of a bear on it. I won't film doing both sides. This one's the easiest side to film, and that one's the one that's noisy. It's not horrendous, but it's just a bit rumbly. So. I've got all new seals and everything for this. I'll bring up the camera for those of you who don't know. That is a taper bearing. Focus is a stupid thing. It's a tapered rollers, and you have a seat and then one in the front and the rear. So if you do that up really tight, the bearing just overheats and seizes the shaft, spins a whole lot off and destroys it. So say you pack them full of grease. I'll show you when I do it. You spin the disc as you nip these up. Just nip it up so it doesn't go any further, then back it off so you can get your split pin in at the first available hole, and that generally is good enough. And they'll be absolutely fine. So this one is in good order. The rollers are nice and clean. There's no scoring. But I'm not going to mess about changing one wheel bearing. I'm in here and getting a pair and be done with it. Yeah, this race in here is good. And a lot of you can say, oh, that's wasteful. I mean, the bearings are tuppence, they're not worth worrying about. Right. What's the shaft like? Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, cool. So yeah, basically the boot on there has split, or starting to split, and the one on there is starting to split. So I need to take that out and put a new one on, and take that out and put a new one on, as it's a bit easier with the disc out. And that's not bad size. Ball joint breaker. Other way you fall. And on the bottom of these, they don't have a ball joint. It's a thread, what you call a trunnion. It's a funny old arrangement with a pin going through one way, so it tips like that with a body. It's put T-shape, and there's a thread, and this thing sits on a thread. Same as a Morris Minor and Morris Marina, same idea. Gets it. I'm not too worried about destroying the rubber boot because it's all split and pairs anyway. Alright, came out without tin bash drama. Just goes to show that that's been on there 8 years, you might as well use your car because it's going to perish and fall apart anyway, so you might as well use it and not worry about it. Alright. The steering rack gate is sitting alright there. I usually end up putting these on with a cable tie because putting these wire clips back on is fraught with misery. Right, there we go. I just want something that's around about that kind of shape. I found one that's very, very similar dimensional wise. Right, done the top ball joint as well. Didn't see the point of filming out, same as doing the track rod end. I just took it out, found a suitable boot in my box of boots. Now I just happened to know when I dropped this on, notice when I dropped this on the floor, that is the back of the disc. Now I'm pretty, that's perfect, there's no wear on it. It's obviously where it's up against the back plate, the moisture didn't get to it. So I'm pretty sure if I take a wire wheel and a sander to the front of that, once we knock them races out, that'll be absolutely fine. Right, now we just got to knock the other seat in, or the inner race should I say. But you've got two halves to the bearing. That's your needle roll a bit and that's the race it runs in. So I need to pop this one in the other side. Now find a socket that's just underside, sort of slide in. You'll know when it's in. Tone changes. That's in. And now for the fun part. this is the gooey bit. there's just no easy way of doing this without getting covered in stuff. So basically, I use high melting point grease for wheel bearings. I get a glob of it, stick it in the palm of my hand, and the idea is that if I can get it in the camera, is to force the grease up between
the rollers, the outer cage and the inner race. So, and I literally just sort of paste it in like that, work my way around and work it in. It takes a bit of fiddling to do it. Of course it ends up everywhere, but if you like getting gooey, this is a great job. And just keep going until you get it all in there. It's about as complicated as it gets. It's just a bit messy, that's all. Yeah. So if you're a mucky kid, this will be right up your street. Yeah, so it's you've absolutely packed it and it's everywhere. Plonk that in the hole there. And do the same with the other one. Come here, you. So it's there's no science to it. It really is just work it into the bearing. Somebody could think of a less gooey way of doing it. I know you can buy a thing for doing it that goes on a grease, grease like a pump, but it's more for heavy goods vehicles, I think. But anyway, there you go. We're doing it at home. That's how we do it. And then the thing to do is have plenty of rag on hand, because it's just going to go everywhere. And I'm going to clean all this up with brake cleaner anyway before we install it. But basically, I need to fill the void that is in there with grease. So again, there's no official way of doing it. You just glob it in there. And obviously when the stub axle goes through, it'll sort of push some of that to the sides and you'll end up with it fully packed with grease. Got a mess. Yuck. Pop that in the hole there for a minute. And then the next trick is not to get it everywhere, where you don't want it anyway. So it doesn't matter, we will brake clean this up. There is a seal that goes in it. It's a felt seal. It's that thing. It's got a hard steel outer and a sort of felt, and it goes in there like that. I've found it's obviously a drifter made for something, and this kind of fits. So we're going to give it a go and see if that will help me tap that in, because they bonded the felt bit in there, so I can't sort of take it out and drift it in. So I want to see if this will work. I think the answer is yes. I think that's gone in, yeah. Sounded like it had bottomed out. Voila, that is it. So what we need to do now is reconfigure over at the vehicle and plop this on. So we'll go get cleaned up. Right, got one hub assembly in my hand. Hopefully this will come out all right and you can see what I'm doing. But basically, hold the front race in so it doesn't fall out. See that? Let it spin and hopefully that should bottom out with a bit of luck. All grease. Grease everywhere. And you got your plate, which has a camera pick it up. It's got a flat on it, which goes on there. And we get our nut. And because I left the socket the other side, haven't you? Yep, you have. You should be able to just wind that in till it bottoms out and then back off a bit. So give it a bit of a spin. Keep turning so that just nips up, but it's spinning freely on the bearings. If I shut it, you might be able to hear it. And then basically just back it off. So there's no preload, but it's not sloppy. And then you've got to find the hole to put the split pin in. The astute ones of you will have made a note of where the wheel bearing was before you started. Oh, there it is. That's wheel bearing where the split pin hole is. Stupid boy. So it's there on this. On the other one, it was at 1 o'clock. If I back that off one more flat, that will probably go loose. Yeah, that feels pretty good actually. Yeah, that'll be fine. There's no free plate. And it's nice and quiet. Just need a split pin. Interestingly, on my Transit, you do have free play. I might have said it in another video. You have free play in the roller taper bearings front and rear, and you do have free play. And there's a specific free play you've set up with dial gauge, certainly on the back end. That's probably a bit big enough actually, because it's got to fit inside the little cap. So it's slightly smaller. Oh yeah, that's better. That sits down a bit. Everything is still around the other side of the vehicle. Alright. Like that. I generally bend that round the back so it won't get hooked up on that. Cap that goes round, I just get a punch and a hammer and just tap that round. Really, sorry, it's covered in grease, it's slippery now. How'd that happen? That should do it. And take our cap. And tap that back on. And that is front wheel bearings done. I just degrease the disc. Lovely. There we go. So I'll get the brake cleaner and get the caliper back on, just degrease all that. And we have lovely wheel bearing, done, both done. Done the boots on there, so I'll get this finished up and then we'll rejig for pulling the drive shaft on the rear and getting that sorted out, and that will be all the rolling bits sorted out. Now that is the problem here. That keyway, I don't know if it's showing up well on the camera or not, is all distorted and wallowed out because this hub that was on here, we should have locked on that taper, was moving for whatever reason, and also you can see some rusty grease coming out the bearing. There's no play in the bearing, or it's not noisy, but it clearly needs bearings.
So that's the problem this side. I'll show you in more detail on the one on the welding bench that I'm going to disassemble, overhaul and then put in here. I'm hoping I can get this back plate off if I disconnect the handbrake mechanism, which is down the back there, and swing it round so I don't have to disconnect the brake hydraulics. If I do, I do, and I just have to bleed everything again. So we'll swap over to the welding bench. Right, this is what you looks like from the back. Basically, this here pivots on that bolt. This one's stiff. So if I can get this hub off, and there is a proper puller for this, it should be locked on. I'll set up a bit better and we'll get it to pieces. I'm hoping my 10-ton hydraulic puller and a bit of heat, because obviously I'm putting new bearings in here. We'll get that off, then we can pull the shaft, knock that bolt out, and put new bearings in here, and disassembly new universal joint in there, clean it all up. Obviously that back plate will go in the junk, because I've got a good one on the other one, and then swap it all over. That's the plan anyway. So let's just get up, set up a little bit better, and we'll see if we can get this to pieces. After reviewing some of the footage, and I've been working on this in the evenings, I didn't video any of sourcing these bearings and hub assemblies out, trying to fit it in between work and stuff. So I thought I'd go through what we've done, because it's all done, it's all back on the car. Basically, I had a right fight getting the good second-hand UJs out. I'll show you on the camera, I don't know whether this will pick that up, but the circlips just snapped off in here. I managed to get it off the shaft, and then I took this is the damaged shaft off the car. I managed to get that half of the UJ assembly, or the piece that goes on the diff, off this shaft, so I can make one up. So between it all, I managed to make one up that would work. But basically there's nothing to these. You have a front bearing that goes in here, there is a rear needle roller bearing, and an oil seal that sits in here that sticks out about a third, and that is it. And then there is a oil seal that goes in a tin plate that goes on the front, then your brake back plate, bring one in here, your brake back plate goes on the front, and then on the front of that bit is like a shield, which anything that comes through should drip out that hole in the bottom, and that's it. And there are some plastic on the trunnion. Well, this one's stuck, but this pivots, and there are plastic bushes that sit in here, and all the ones I've taken apart, they're absolutely perfect. I did put new plastic trunnion bushes in, and the seals and everything. What normally happens is there's a sleeve that sits in the middle of here, and that bolt seizes into the steel sleeve, so you end up cutting down here with a hacksaw to cut the bolt, and then you can get it apart, because these don't split, so you have to do it that way and put a new bolt in with all the bits. But all in all, we got it all done. This shaft is one of the second-hand ones, and unfortunately where somebody ran it with the bearings shot, that's where the needle roller runs there when it's all put together. I don't know whether that will go on there, it's so deformed, but that's so rough that would just disintegrate. You could have it built up and remachine it. It's not worth it. I'm had enough bits. This will just go in the scrap. I might try and get these have obviously been replaced on this one. I might try and get this piece off. If I can get those circlips out and keep it as a spare. And I have, out of all the second-hand parts, I have one of these. This one's damaged. Where this one was running with the bearings gone, it's just destroyed the housing. So I have a good one of these in the wash tank soaking. I'll keep as a spare, and the rest of this is going in the scrap. So after that quick recap of what we've done, we're going to get over on the car, because I've got to do the pinion oil seal on the diff, because that's weeping. So we'll get it set up over there, and hopefully I'll video this bit. The pinion oil seal is behind here. I've got to get the prop off. I might have to split the exhaust, drop that out of the way, so the prop will hang down, because you can't move this prop from side to side because it runs in the middle of the chassis rails. So you get it down and then get the yoke off of the front of the diff, pull the seal out and put new seal in and there's 2 different seals, so hopefully they've sent me the right one. There's also oil seals where the half shafts go on, because this is a floating rear end. I don't think it's those that's leaking. They don't look wet, but it is all wet round here, so I'm pretty sure that's leaking, and you know, it's not uncommon. So that's the next job. I'll get this stripped. It's going to be awkward under here with the camera, so I'll get this stripped out and bring you back when I've got a bit more to show. I did drop the exhaust out. It was just easy to drop the prop down here. I don't know if you can see in the camera, but there's some white marks been painted on the nut and on the yoke there for where it's done up, which is all very well and good, as long as you put it back in the same place. Now it'll be on a spline, and it's got a king spline, so you can only put it in one place. You could put that anywhere. So I'm going to mark everything up with centre dots, so the dots all line up to try and put everything back in the same place, simply because to do that nut up, it's 12 to 16 inch-pounds preload on the bearing. I don't have a torque wrench that does inch-pounds, and I imagine the person who did this last time didn't either, but the bearing feels fine. So the only way I can do it is mark everything up and put it back in the same place. So I'll get that split pin out and that nut undone. I'm going to mark everything up, as I say. So hopefully I'll put that yoke assembly back on the spline in the same place, unless it's got a king spline, which I don't think they do. And then pull that out and we'll be back shortly. Right, new seal installed. The old seal was a tin shrouded one. This is a more modern rubber seal. I've checked it fits on the spline okay. I'm just going to give it a wipe off, put a bit of oil on it, and put the yoke back on, and then do the nut up. We can button it all back up. Job's a good one. Fairly straightforward little job. Yeah, I used a if I can get it in the, it's a large socket off my 3/4 socket set. If I can get it in the camera. Where's it gone? Oh, for heaven's sake, where are we? Yeah, just a 3/4 drive socket, put on there and drifted that in, that was all. So get it in nice and square. This seal does go down onto its onto a shoulder, so it only goes in so far, so you can't bury it by accident. Right, last bit, so we can get it on the other ramp and finish off putting the prop back on, and grease up the underneath and put the exhaust back on, and put some oil in the diff after the ramp failed and it got stuck in the air. Ordered these wheels. We wanted the 2-tone ones with the gunmetal grey in here. They didn't have any in stock though. They're still advertising them as available on their website. So we went for the plain silver ones. They didn't have enough Triumph badges to go in the centre cap. Not that I'm particularly bothered. They only had 2, not 5, because we ordered 5 wheels. But one thing I wanted to talk about, these wheels are correct diameter, correct offset. Everything's correct except, and I'll zoom you in a bit, the hole in the back where it locates, I'll get you to zoom in on the hub, it's too big. Let me zoom in a bit so that you can see. Take a bit of fiddling to get it right. There we go. Stay there. Right. That there is designed for your wheel to centre on. Your studs do not hold your wheel central, they hold them onto the hub. The entire load that your wheel transmits through your suspension is taken via the hub. And the hole in the middle of this wheel, if I bring it up, there, that hole there was too big by 10mm. So I had to machine up a steel insert, the right diameter to fit on our hub, and the right OD to be a press fit in there. So I spent yesterday morning machining up those spaces effectively, and now they sit beautifully. Everything's in the right position, it all works beautifully. But be very careful when you buy aftermarket wheels. Make sure they centre on your hub. Do not rely on your wheel studs holding them centre as well as them holding them on. These are tiny little studs, they'll shear off. You hit modern potholes, if you're unaware and the front wheel disappears, not only will you destroy your wheel, but you'll probably rip it clean off. So that's what that's there for, so please beware on that one. These are listed for this vehicle, Triumph Herald, Spitfire, GT6 and Vitesse, because it's basically all the same car. Right, there you go, it's on. I think they look a hell of a lot better than the rusty old spoke ones, and are actually held on properly. The wheel nuts won't come loose, or lug nuts as the Americans call them. They're not going to fall off, and it's centered on that piece. So I'm going to call this it for this video. It's taken long enough to do, and we'll be back with part 2, which will be the fuel system, change the carbs over, get it running, sort out a few electrical gremlins. We're going to have to take the gearbox tunnel off because there was a mouse nest up under there, and I may have chewed the wires on the safety switch for the overdrive, which means the overdrive won't work. So I need to check that, and if they peed all over the switches, it's probably done the switches. So we'll get into that in the next video. So I'll say thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.